everybody, it's KelseeBrianaJai, and in today's video I am reviewing MAC's newest foundation, and that foundation is called the Studio Fix Soft Matte Foundation Stick, and this is their newest foundation. And if you all are not new to MAC, this may seem like deja vu, like I thought MAC already had a stick foundation, and they did way back in the day. It's been discontinued for such a long time now that if you remember that, then you are a true MAC OG. I remember that foundation. My mom actually used to wear that foundation. She was in love with it, and she was truly heartbroken when they discontinued that foundation. So when I told her they were coming out with a new foundation stick, she was like, oh, I have got to try that. But from my knowledge, this is a totally new formulation, a totally new foundation stick, and even with me swatching it, from my recollection from my childhood, this does not feel like the same foundation stick that they had before. I remember it being very full coverage, and this one is not giving me that right off the bat. But we'll jump into the details of it. So MAC's packaging has gotten a little bit of an update. From what I remember, this happened with the Studio Fix concealer that they came out with last year, and now they have the color on the front of the box, and everything is written in your foundation shade's color. It's easier to remember your shade name when it's written really big, because I used to work at MAC, and I cannot tell you how many times somebody would come into MAC with the bottom of their products rubbed off going, I used up all of my makeup and I don't know what color I wear. I feel like this is much easier to know and remember, especially if you're not super into makeup and you just wear it and buy it occasionally. So that's really cool. It actually looks the same way on the actual stick foundation, and it has MAC. It says Studio Fix like in a circle. It reminds me of like a clock for some reason. And then when you open up the foundation, again, it has the color here. This foundation retails for $31, and it has 0.31 ounces of product, or 9 grams of product. So the description of this product on Nordstrom's website reads, achieve buildable medium coverage with this ultra blendable formula for a natural shine-free finish that lasts 24 hours. Instantly hydrating. It won't cake, streak, crease, or settle into fine lines. So like I said, this is a stick foundation, so it rolls up and it rolls down. Here's what it looks like. With this foundation, I just applied it straight out of the stick. I know a lot of people don't like to do that. You can absolutely use whatever tool you're using. You can use a brush, or you can use a sponge and kind of rub that product on there and then apply it to the skin. I prefer to just have direct contacts, just because with most sticks, this one included, when you warm it up, it allows you to apply that product a lot more smoothly, and you get a little bit more slip from the warmth. Like I said, I got the color NC42. There are 33 different colors that I counted on Nordstrom's website. They have like colors like NC13. There's an NC17. But what they don't have is NC43, which is whose shade? MAC, when are you gonna make NC43 like a regular thing? I touched on that a little bit later on in this video, but I talked about how like NC43 is available in some formulas, but not all of them, and they didn't launch it with this formula, so I settled on NC42 as opposed to NC44, which was too dark for me. Now, I do have combination skin, and like I touched on in this video as well, with most stick foundations, you want to make sure that your skin is prepped, because most stick foundations are a bit drier. So you want to make sure that your skin has a little bit of slip to it, that you don't already have dry skin. I'll show you guys how I applied this foundation in the demonstration, and then stay tuned, and I'm going to be doing a wear test. So let me know if you all plan on getting this foundation. Let me know what your favorite stick foundation is. I'm very curious to know. So enjoy. So I have fully prepped my face for this foundation. Granted, I have not tried it yet, but historically stick foundations are a bit drier. So I made sure that my skin is totally hydrated in preparation for this. To do this, I used 2 products that are very hydrating. For all over my face, I used the Tatcha, the Dewy Skin Cream. And for my under eye, I used the Believe Moisturizing Eye Balm. And I've let these products sink in for about 30 to 45 minutes now. So my skin is ready for this stick foundation. So I'm gonna go straight in with it. Let's see. Okay. Just like I thought it would be, it feels a bit dry. Doesn't have a whole lot of slip to it. Let's try to blend her out. I'm going to use my Marc Jacobs The Face toothbrush. And I'm going to use stippling motions. Then I'm going to buff it in a little bit, but pretty much stipple. It's not giving me a whole lot of coverage, but I'm blending in. I'm seeing where it's going. I do still see a lot of my imperfections. Here's what the first go round looks like. I feel like it looks okay. I'm gonna go in on my cheeks and see if I can cover it up. I still see all of my freckles. Typically with most medium coverage foundations, my freckles are easily covered because they are not very prominent. They're very light. So the fact that this isn't covering them kind of shows me the amount of coverage that you're able to get with this foundation. I feel like it's taking a lot to cancel out some redness that I have on my cheeks from a breakout that I have. It's not really giving me the coverage that I want. I'm building and blotting. That's it. I feel like I've swiped it on my face more than I would any other foundation, and I still feel like I see so many imperfections. It's almost like the foundation formulation is just sitting on my skin and it's not really blending into it. And like I said, I made sure that my skin was prepped because I'm familiar with stick foundations. I'm used to them being a little bit drier. They take a little while to warm up on the skin. Some people even put the foundation stick on the back of their hand to kind of warm it up, but as many times as I swiped it, the foundation has warmed up. It should be gliding with a lot more ease, but it still is resistant and I'm not really getting a lot of coverage. So I'm gonna go in with my concealers and my powders, and hopefully that gives me more coverage and I can work it out. But so far, this is what we're working with. I'll be back in a second. So I have everything all together, and I feel like my concealer and my powder have saved the way that my complexion is looking right now. My concealer definitely gave me more coverage. I patted it underneath my eye, as well as on a few areas where I needed just a little bit more coverage because the stick foundation would not give it to me no matter how many times I layered it. It almost is like a thin balm, and it allowed me to layer it up just a little bit, but as far as covering my redness on my face, it did not do that. As far as covering up my hyperpigmentation, my dark spots, it also did not do that, but it did even me out somewhat, but not all the way, because like I said, I did see a lot of my imperfections. I went in with my MAC mineralized skin finish and it definitely softened it up, but overall I still feel like my complexion just looks dry. Even with me using the hydrating moisturizer and the hydrating eye cream, it still just is not looking as fresh and radiant as I wanted to. You all know I am no stranger to the MAC mineralized skin finish. I use it every single day. I use it in all of my foundation reviews. I know how it reacts. I know how it looks on top of foundations, and I know that it gives a nice softening effect without adding too much more coverage on top of the foundation. But even with adding that powder on top, which gives a nice soft element to my skin, I don't really feel like it's saving this foundation because I feel like it still looks too dry. As far as the color, I think that it's on par. NC42, that's my color in MAC. I also can wear NC43. As with most foundations in MAC's line, they don't really make NC43. They make it in the Studio Tech formulation, Studio Sculpt, and Studio Fix powder. And in the stick foundation, they didn't make NC43. They have NC42 and NC44. And so I went with NC42 because it matched me a little bit more closely. And I feel like NC44 is too red almost always. It has like an orangey reddish, more warm tone vibe to it. Even though it says NC, it has a lot of red in there, so that one was way too dark for me. This one I would have loved if they had NC43 because I feel like it would have given me more of a neutrally tan look, as opposed to this one, which is very yellow, very golden, which I can work it out with my bronzer and make it match, but it's not 100% perfect. I am going to do a wear test using this foundation, and I'll do check-ins and let you guys see how it's wearing throughout the day. Right now it's almost 5 o'clock, so I'm gonna wear this foundation until 11 o'clock tonight. So that's 6 hours and 10 minutes, and I'll check back in every 2 hours and let you guys see the updates. So stay tuned. So it's been 3 hours and I wanted to come back and give you guys a check-in. I've been online shopping on the couch and that time just passed right on by. I have my alarm set, but then I click snooze, and then next thing you know, it's been an extra hour. And I want to update you guys on how I'm feeling about my foundation currently. And I think it looks better than it did when I first applied it because my oils are breaking through, but I think that my face kind of looks cakey like now. I'm not in love with how it's looking. It does have a bit of a glow here, and right here in the nose area I feel like it looks a little bit heavier than my foundation typically does at the 3-hour mark. I don't really feel like my oils are being controlled, especially for what I have done in between the time when I first applied it until now. I haven't really done a lot. I haven't been outside. I've been in the air conditioning, so it's not really a reason why my oils should have broken through. But I'm about to go outside right now and I'll see how it continues to wear. It is hot where I live. It's humid, but it is the nighttime because it is pretty late at this moment. It is currently 8 o'clock. Yes, I keep late hours, I know, but dang on it, I'm a night owl. But I'll check back in 2 more hours and let you guys see the progress. So I am back and it's been 5 hours and I want to give you guys a little bit of an update. So far, I am still not really feeling the way that my foundation is looking. I think it looks very, very oily at this point. Like to the point where I want to really blot it, but I'm not going to because I want to keep everything how it is without disturbing it. But I'm not really feeling the way that my foundation looks. Again, I still think it looks heavy. With my oils breaking through, I think it's getting even more cakey looking. So I'm not really feeling the way that everything is wearing at all. It started off really dry, and as the day has progressed, it's looking super cake like. I think it doesn't look as bad on camera as it does in real life, but in everyday life it looks kind of like a lot. So I am going to check you back in 2 more hours. I will give you guys my final thoughts on everything, so stay tuned. You all already know when I put on the glasses, that's it for the night. Night's over, time to go to sleep, time to wash my face. But it has been 8 hours actually, and now I'm coming back and let's talk about my final thoughts about this stick foundation. So you all see the way that my skin looks right now, and it's very oily, and I feel like it looks heavy. The foundation is on my face. It has lasted. It has not melted off. However, it does feel heavy, but it does not give me a lot of coverage. So throughout the day, I've just been noticing where I see my imperfections through this foundation, while this foundation still feels heavy on my skin. So I really don't feel like that is an even trade-off. It feels heavy, but yet it still is not giving me the heavy coverage. If I'm gonna feel like it's heavy, then I want it to be like cake makeup, and then I can go in with a lighter hand on my own. So this is definitely not the same formulation that they had years ago. This one is definitely way less coverage. I think this foundation is pretty dry. I have combination skin. The way that it's worn on me, it's made my skin extremely oily throughout the day. And like I said earlier in the video, I really didn't do that much today to warrant this oily of a skin. I did hydrate my skin with the products that you guys saw, but those are products that I use all of the time, and you guys saw that I set this foundation earlier in the day, and not even 2 hours later I came back and you guys saw I was oily all on my cheekbone area, which is not an area that I typically get oily in. So I'm thinking that this foundation is not really working well with my skin type. Now if you have dry skin, I would highly advise you to skip this foundation just because it is very dry and it sort of pulls on the face whenever you're trying to apply it. You can warm it up, but still it is a very dry stick foundation. I would say the only skin type that may like this foundation is somebody with very oily skin, and even still then make sure you are setting your face and make sure that you're using a primer that's going to control the oils, because even though the foundation applies very dry throughout the day, those oils are going to break through, and this does nothing to control them. It doesn't really remind me of a lot of newer formulations of stick foundations. If I had to pick a foundation that it reminds me the most of, I would say the Bobbi Brown stick foundation, and the amount of coverage that you get as well as the consistency of it. Other stick foundations that I've used more recently are the Hourglass foundation, and I love that foundation. It glides on, but that one has a totally different consistency. That one almost melts on the skin. It glides so well. So this one definitely doesn't remind me of that one. And the Makeup Forever stick foundation, that foundation has a lot more coverage than this MAC one does. So again, it doesn't really remind me of that. But overall, I'm not a fan of this foundation. I feel like it took too much effort to build it up. It was too dry blending it out, and it did not wear well throughout the day. So in my opinion, I feel as if there are other foundations in MAC's line that perform a lot better than this one. So for me, this is a skip. So let me know what you all think about this. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Smooches. Bye.